So this is another exhausted video of me talking about Zoom demolishing me enclosed. So far I'm on +2, but I think I've been outplayed basically every game. I only had one game where I liked the setup I got, where I got a T that I was happy with. And now we're getting into Zoom's first turn games, and these will go badly for me. The nice thing about them, though, is we get to see his cards, so we get to see his rationales for each move. And he starts with a6, 9, 3 in 1. So he has the matching plus wall, or same wall, but in this case plus wall with 2, 9, a6, and 2. He does not have the matching capture in 4. So that's interesting. So he's going to start with corner starters quite a bit during these games. And I tend to start with center starters, as you saw in the last video, or in any of my other videos you've watched. And when going with a corner starter, what to look for is an open question to me. But I think looking for make sure to cover the weak side really well is probably a good principle, because people these days love to capture the strong side or just play next to the strong side and force you to block the weak side. And having ways to do so is really good against that. So this seems viable. I go in 5. Why? Who knows? It was a move. I think a9, 2, 6 looks nicely set up in both 4 and 8 synergy. Okay, it's a move. So here, there's the question, will he go for the slash or will he go for the J? And he does not have a good looking slash. So he does go for the J. So reason someone might go in different squares for the J. One is, can the card itself be recaptured well? Another is, does your hand want to be more up and down or more side to side? This hand looks more side to side to me, right? The top card's much better side-side than up-down. The second card's much better side-side than up-down. The third card's much better up-down. And the fourth card's probably a little better side-to-side. I mean, the total's higher, but the A is pretty important. So definitely a side-to-side type hand, so it makes sense to go in 6. And indeed, uses a card in 6 that the hand has ways to recapture and is probably the worst card in the hand. Alright, that makes a lot of sense to me. I go in 3. I notice I have the same wall in 9. As I recall, there was an elemental either in 9 or in 6. I think in 6 that made the same wall not quite as exciting as it looked. He takes. I did the challenge square and he can take it, so he took. I do my combo. And here, we have kind of the standard, do you play in the corner and threaten both combos? Well, with this hand, maybe not, right? You don't really have good threats. And he played very quickly here, I think. He just immediately went, I'm going to block the strong side. I have a threat in 8, and I have a card that can take anything but a 10. So unless you have a 10 left, I'm going to get a tie. I did not have a 10 left, so I had to choose what's more likely to be comboed, a 9 or a 6. I think I made the correct choice, which is I thought a 9 was clearly less likely to be comboed. I believe that is statistically correct, but in this instance went very poorly, and I lost 8-2. Takeaways on how Zoom played it, though. The corner starter was, I think, interesting. The idea of make sure the weak side is covered. And this seems like a smart J to me. So the interesting thing for me there was what's the rationale behind a corner starter. And I have a little piece of the rationale, right? There might have been other thinking going on, but perhaps the primary thinking was make sure I have synergies on the weak side. And I'm putting in the next hands. Again, Zoom will be on first turn. I will be on second turn, getting demolished. It's just remarkable how behind I felt in all these games. So he starts here. Again, the strong side is covered by overpowering, the weak side is covered by a same or plus wall that matches. This is very interesting. So really what I might be doing is making a video for someone smarter than me to play better against Zoom than I did, rather than me playing against Zoom. But I also want to emulate these strategies, and maybe this video is bad to put out, because if I emulate and people know what I'm doing, there are, of course, exploitable things. But I think we have found a pattern to these corner starters. So I went in 5. Did I have a point? Probably. I set up a same in 8. I think Elementals made that a little less nice than it looks. I have sort of a matching overpower for 4. Plus wall in 6. Because I went 5 both these games, we may not get to see what Zoom does against anything other than 5 plays, but it's something. So here he went the slash rather than the J. And alright, the slash looks reasonable. It doesn't look so good that I'm sure the J would be like worse or anything, but the slash looks reasonable. And I guess there may not be nice squares for the J. 2-9, A6, and 6 looks kind of appealing to me, because 7A, 2-9 is so good at recapturing it. But okay, we go for the slash. I go here. Felt good about that. Hoped he couldn't take. He couldn't, but he can slide along. Now I got scared he had combos in squares like 2 or 6. It turns out he has combos in neither of them. So, if I had played a J like that, I likely would have had something in at least one of them. He doesn't actually have either. So if I had gone just here, I would have just won. But I was afraid. Or, here. That wins too. But I was afraid. I trusted him to have the combo. So maybe the lesson I should have here is don't be afraid of the bluff. Where did I go? So I went in 1. This was the only card I didn't feel I needed elsewhere, though I guess the others arguably are redundant. He went 9, and suddenly 7-6-6A is great because I've just set it up for him in 2, and I promptly lose this game. I go 2, he goes 6, he wins 6-4. Alright, that's interesting. I hadn't realized that he actually didn't have serious setups on 5, and I had to give them to him for him to have them. Huh. Surprising, given that it was he who set up the slash. And we know he doesn't always go for the slash, because we've seen him go for a J. So this was probably, a little bit of a messy game on his part, but he pulls out the win. Game 3 is going to be a little bit nonsense. Too many rares. Just inputting the hands. My hand. So he starts with the corner that he has well covered. Yeah. Corners like this are very annoying and closed because they're so hard to play around, and you kind of just have to never touch it because he'll hold on to the double number till the end. And if you touch it and you're not, matching, it can suck. So you sort of hope you keep him holding on to something like a 9-9-6-4 to the end, and then you don't ever flip it. No idea why I went here. I think I was very confused at the hour. And he goes here, which makes a lot of sense. I too prefer the 3 corners to the knight formation in 8, so seems right. I stick an A out. he makes sure to stick nothing potentially comboable out, because I still probably have to go in 5, or it feels scary not to. I didn't have 6. So I go 5, and he has the setup everywhere, and I lose. I went here, and I only lose 6-4. Hurrah! That's 3 in a row. But on the starter thing, same thing here. Corner that can be basically covered comfortably. So it's the corner that has the securest lock-in on the lowest number. And on 10s, that's very easy because one card can have both, and that makes that all kind of immaterial. And then the fourth game, I actually think this was the one that happened first. So I've really screwed up the order talking about these. You may have noticed he's won every game of his on first turn. Will that continue? I'm putting in the hands. So he goes in 5. So that gives a plus wall in 6, and very little else, not even secondary synergies. This move seems more natural to me. It gives more kind of secondary synergies, and, you know, has 3 plus walls. Is there anything else? No, I mean, if I was going to go in, I would have started here. So I think the big takeaway of this move is, and I think we've sort of seen this in previous games, so I haven't highlighted it, is Zoom values horizontals and verticals more. Oh, this has the same wall in 2. That might be a differentiating factor. But I think it also sort of suggests Zoom values horizontals and verticals more than corners. Do we have a corner that would have met previous requirements? A8, 8-2, the 5A, 6-8, but we can't capture the A part. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything kind of half strong where we can lock in the weak part. So, okay, when in doubt, go in 5. Do it with a corner that you have a little synergy off. Okay, curious. I go in 9. I felt, how can this be bad? My 7-6-6A is just glorious. I think it was a little less glorious due to elemental, but still pretty glorious. Goes in the slash again. This is the second time we've seen a slash. Weirdly, does not have the recapture in 2. Very curious. Huh. Oh. I'm sorry, yawned. Clearly I took advantage all smartly. If this was open, the AI says he has 1 save. But it is closed. I like playing the Q move here. Turns out he couldn't recapture. That's a little wild to me. He goes in 6. Keeps the side-to-side cards. This makes sense. I combo off in 3. He takes what he can in 2. And now I just have to put something out. He can't do the dirty 2, but he kind of does bad news to everyone. And I happen to get quite unlucky here because he had some other card from some point, and he took the card in 4 because 4 was on an elemental spot, and something else flipped here. I don't remember what, but he actually won this one 6-4 as well. So, just absolutely slaughtered every game on second turn. Interesting slash choice decision here. So I think when in a formation with a card in 5 and a card in a corner, like to go for the slash. Not sure the principle's there. Corner starter, make sure you can same or securely plus wall the weak side. That's my big takeaway on his first turn strategy. Second turn, priority is to match. If you don't match, apparently you can just play weak corners and that works. Really not sure what the idea was there. Sort of curious to try it out. So hopefully that was kind of interesting. Just exploring a player, seeing a player's games. I think we all sort of know we have instincts in ourselves, but until you look at it, you might not realize how frequently they come up and how predictable they might be from seeing the cards. And I think I could now do a pretty decent job, if I saw Zoom's cards, of predicting his first move on either turn, and maybe his second. And after that, I think I'd probably do a decent job there too. So maybe I'll go try to play like Zoom and see what happens. So that was the videos of his first turns. Overall, he won 4 games, all of them on his first turn. He won all 4. We had 3 ties, and I won twice, both on my first turn. But both were pretty bad, to be honest, and one I should have lost. So overall, I thought he absolutely whomped me. I thought he played interestingly and different moves than I would. I will definitely be trying out some corner starters and be trying out some matching side plays and just seeing how my results look. And specifically matching side plays looking to go into a T. I probably will not be trying the weak corners because I don't have any rationale for them. But I think the weak corners fit the center move we can see of getting rid of a corner, because both his weak corner plays, he chucked a strong corner card in the weak corner and is just much happier, I think, to get rid of strong corners early than he is to get rid of either tri-directional cards like A828 or A747 or vertical horizontals. Which is very interesting. So I guess I'll call it a video.